Welcome back. This is our second tutorial in the Flip Tiles game, or Flip Tiles series of videos. This video should be a lot shorter than the first one. We want to get everything set up in that first one. This next one is going to take care of this whole select business. The selecting that we're talking about is the method that will select the squares you will be using as the black squares for the game by calling the select method. So it's the method that will actually decide what squares will come up as black. So that's in the Mind Puzzle class. Now, in order to do this, you can see that it takes in a parameter of how many. And as we discussed last time, based on how big the puzzle is, that will tell us how big or how many squares will be selected. So on a puzzle that is 3 by 3, 3 squares will be selected. On a puzzle that's 4 by 4, 4 squares will be selected, and so on and so on. So we are going to start off by creating a variable, just a local one in the select method called int num, and we're going to set it to be equal to the how many parameter that was sent to us. Now we're doing this because we need to actually manipulate this and actually decrease it over time. So I'm going to take the notes just like I have in the past, and I'm going to copy this information. Now you won't be able to copy it because it's a Google document. You'll just have to actually type it out, but give yourself just some notes so you know where you're going with it. I'm going to paste that there. So while we still don't have 3 squares selected, we kind of have to go through this, this matrix, and we've got to pick a square, and then we have to mark it and say, okay, it's a black square now. And then we have to make sure that we don't double mark the same square as black, because then we would only have, say, oh, if we mark 2 of this or the same square black twice, then we'd always only end up having 2 black squares in the end, okay, if this was the puzzle that we're starting off with. So you'll kind of see what I mean by that if that's really unclear, but we got to make sure that we're not double selecting things. So we're going to start off by saying while num is greater than 0, okay, it says choose a random place in the grid. So pretty easy. We're going to create 2 integer variables. We'll just use I and j again, and we'll say int greenfoot dot get random number, and we'll say size because we're talking about the size of the world, right? So size of the world dictates how many black squares we have selected. So we need a random number from there, and int j equals greenfoot dot get random number, size again. Okay, so we've chosen a random place in the grid. Great. We are going to then say if this puzzle, okay, if this square or this index in the matrix, okay, dot is black, okay, we're actually going to say if it is not black, okay. Too many Borat references that could be made out of this if this is not black. Okay, so if we go over to the tile class, you'll see that we've created a method that already returns whether something is black or not, okay? So we've got this variable that's set up here. It's going to return true if it is black and false if it's not, okay? So we're checking to see if the square at this matrix in the puzzle isn't already black, we're going to make it black. Okay, so we would just say puzzle I, j, and we would say select. Oh, I'm missing some parentheses here, some round brackets. Okay, so right here, make sure you've got those round brackets because we're calling a method from the tile class. This is an actual tile we're referring to right here. Okay, and then again, select. And if we look back over to the tile class, you can see that we also have select created. Okay, so that's already been done for you, and it just selects that tile and makes it set to black. Okay, so I'm going to head here, close that off, and oh, before we do so, we need to say num minus minus. Okay, so what's happening here is if it isn't already black, this random place we've chosen in the matrix, okay, make it black and decrease the number that we still need to select. So we've taken this variable num, decreased it so that when it goes up to this while loop again, if say num started out as 3 and it's now 2, it's still going to go through, but if it comes down to the point where there is a square that is already black, it won't do this, and it won't decrease, but it'll pick a new random number by going through this while loop again. So that's everything for the select method. Oh, let's do a quick test while we're at it. Compile, good. Okay, and you can see that when we press reset, we have different squares that come up as black every time. Awesome. All right, and that's it for this this part of flip tiles.